Hello everyone, welcome to Clinosol Research YouTube channel. One more time, we are back with interview preparation question, which is on topic of clinical data management, and this is part 3. So if you have not watched part 1 and part 2 of CDM interview preparation question, please go and watch in Clinosol Research YouTube channel. So without any delay, let's jump into the topic, which is interview preparation question for clinical data management, which is part 3. Here are the 5 questions which are repeatedly asked in interviews. I'll be discussing about these 5 questions for today's topic. So what are the data points in AE form? Can you explain about AE form, adverse event form? So this is one of the questions repeatedly asked in interviews. What are email alerts? Give some examples of email alerts. What is considered as an email alerts? What is the importance of email alerts? And how do you consider as email alerts? The third question, what is the primary reason for disposition of a subject? What are the reasons, possible reasons the subject gets disposed or subjects get withdrawn from the trial? And fourth is, can you explain about the status form or a disposition form? So what are the contents of status form, the subject status form and disposition form, wherein we know that what is the condition or status of particular subject during the continuation of clinical trial. Now, last question, what is autoquery? Give the reasons for autoquery, significance of autoquery, examples of autoqueries which are being used for clinical data management. So these are the 5 questions which I'll be discussing for today's interview preparation questions. So first question, what are the data points or how do you explain AE form? So AE form is an adverse event form, which is considered to be a safety related form. And in this form, because this form might be multiple times taken by the subject, it has to be considered as a repeating form. So the following are the data points which are being given in the AE form. First one is AE ID, and the second one is AE term, and third one is AE start date and start time. And the fourth one is ongoing, whether the adverse event is continuing or stopped or something like that. And fifth one is seriousness criteria, which is most important. There are 6 criteria for seriousness criteria. One is death, life-threatening, hospitalization, prolongation of hospitalization, congenital anomaly or birth defect, persistent disability or incapacity, and other medically significant event. So these are seriousness criteria. One of the most important question asked in adverse event form is seriousness criteria. Outcome of adverse events, whether it is recovered or recovering or recovered with sequel or unknown or death. So action taken with the study drug because of the adverse event, what action you have taken? Either it is drug withdrawn or drug interrupted or no action taken or not applicable or dose increased or dose decreased or you interrupted the drug. So these are the possible questions, and sometimes the relationship with the adverse event to the drug and de-challenges and re-challenges also are considered in your AE form. So these are the particular data points which are considered in AE particular form. And the second or the next question is, what are email alerts? What is the significance of email alerts? Give me examples of email alerts. In email alerts is SAE alerts and immediate triggers to notify to the sponsor about any kind of issues. So an email alert is an SAE alert if an adverse event is serious adverse event. An email should get triggered. An email should get triggered. And this is particularly called as an email alert. So email alert is a SAE alert, a particular latest expedited information should be reported to the sponsor immediately on the timing basis. Then it is called as SAE alerts. Now, SAE alerts can be, if an adverse event is serious, then an email alert should get triggered. So that is what you call it as SAE alert. So examples, for example, trigger an email to a sponsor ABC from A to XYZ mail. When AE is SAE is selected as yes. So now if the adverse event is selected as serious, then an email alert should trigger. And what should be the body of email? All this content of things should be of a body of email. And it should be tested to verify whether the mail gets triggered correctly or not. So email alert, in other words, it's called as SAE alert, immediate notification. When an SAE occurs to the patient is called as SAE alerts, and it plays a major role in immediate notification to the sponsor about the adverse events. Now, third question, what are the primary reasons? What are the different reasons for a discontinuation or disposition or removal or withdrawal of the subject from the trial? So there might be multiple reasons for withdrawal of the subject. First is screen failure, So wherein the subject is not meeting the inclusion and exclusion criteria, or subject is not meeting inclusion criteria, meeting exclusion criteria, then that might be considered as screen failure. And the second one is not signing the informed consent form. And the third one is investigator has terminated the trial. And fourth one is sponsor has terminated the trial and patient has got serious adverse event. Patient has withdrawn from the trial, withdrawal by the subject, lost to follow up. The subject is unable to follow it up, and it might be the reason for withdrawal and protocol deviation. So these are the possible reasons for patients to get withdrawn. So reason for disposition are not signing of ICF, screening failure, which is not meeting the inclusion and exclusion criteria, investigator terminated clinical trials, sponsor terminated clinical trials, SAE of the subject, and withdrawn by the subject, lost to follow up, and protocol deviation. Though these are the possible reasons for withdrawal of the subject from the clinical trial. Now, what is the status form? What is the disposition form? So disposition form or status form, we want to know about the particular status of the subject, because at the clinical study report, we have to give that how many subjects were enrolled, how many subjects were screened, and how many subjects have completed, how many subjects were withdrawn from middle, and how many subjects have taken till end of study also, or follow-up study also. So all these are considered as status of the subject. So one of the most important question we ask in status form is, has subject completed study? So whether the subject has completed the trial or not, or study or not. So we can say yes. If we say yes, date and time of completion. If we say no, then it's a date of disposition. If for example, if we say that has subject completed study is no, then it means that subject has gone disposed or withdrawn or terminated from the trial. So now what is the date and time of disposition we have to provide? If subject says that subject has completed the trial, then it is date and time of completion of the trial. And reason for disposition. So there are multiple reasons already we have discussed about the previous question. What are the reasons for disposition? Not signing the ICF, screen failure, investigator terminated trial, SAE, withdrawn by the subject, lost to follow up, and protocol deviation. So these are possible options for withdrawal from the study, reason for disposition. And what is autoquery? So this is most important question. What is the autoquery and importance of autoquery? An example of autoquery. So autoquery or edit checks autoquery. So the autoquery are needed to validate the data when the entered data sometimes is missing, incomplete, inaccurate, illogical, or inconsistent. So this many things. Either it is missing information or incomplete information, inaccurate information, illogical information, or inconsistent information is being entered into the system, then autoquery gets fired. Example is, for example, medical history start date is given as 1/11/1986 and ICF date is given as 2/11/1986, which is considered as valid data because medical history occurs before the signing of ICF. But the situation is valid, no query or autoquery is needed. But if, for example, medical history start date is 30th March 2022 and date of birth is 31 March 2022, and in this case, it is an invalid data because medical history is occurring before the date of birth of the subject. Logic is medical history start date is before date of birth, then fire a query. So it has to fire a auto query saying that the medical history start date is before date of birth. Medical history start date is before the date of birth. Please correct or clarify. So now this kind of queries are called as auto queries. And coming back to Clinosol, Clinosol Research is private limited firm, and we provide the trainings for clinical research, EDM, pharmacovigilance, medical writing, and regulatory affairs and clinical SAS. And we also provide the upskilling like CRCs and also aggregate reporting and imaging data review and clinical data science. And this is the achievements of 2023. We had 250 admissions and 141 placements, blogs 260, articles 98, presentations 280, and industry experts 72, and MOUs 19, events and competition 42, and workshops were 24. And these are our contact details. You can contact us 912-11-51622, and we are located at Hyderabad. So thank you. We'll meet with one more interview-based questions. Till then, thank you so much.